Coming at you live from Auto Trader, here's New Car Energy.
They're searching inventory. You can make a budget for your wallet to help you succeed. It's smarter car shopping just for
Find
you.
your next ride at autotrader.com, powered by Auto Intelligence.
And now it's time for No Pucks Given with Dan Kingerski of Pittsburgh Hockey Now. Penguin scoops, locker room buzz, and straight-up analysis. No fluff, all hockey. Now, here's Dan.
Okay, this is a special edition of No Pucks Given. Hi, I'm Dan Kingerski. And why this is special is it's been more than 10 years since a Penguins coach made himself available to the media for one-on-one interviews. Now, there were a couple that happened over the last decade with the Penguins' former coach, Mike Sullivan, but those were generally outside the organization. You know, at a golf course, at a Stanley Cup party, or whatnot. Or, you know, of course, to the television rights holders. Those are a little bit of a different story. But not to the print media. One of the interesting things this year has been sort of the openness of new Penguins coach Dan Muse. Now, don't get me wrong, he still doesn't want to answer some questions, and he'll tell you that. Like, well, no, I don't really want to answer that. For example, the Harrison Brunick stuff, his stock answer has become, there's a plan. We're sticking to the plan. No, we're not telling you the plan. So I think with the balance, it's a lot easier. It's a lot more cordial of a relationship. And on Thursday, Dan Muse sat down with Pittsburgh Hockey Now. We thought we were going to get 5 minutes with the coach in between meetings as he's running back and forth. But no, to the Penguins' great credit and to Dan Muse's great credit, the Penguins sat me down in a side office, actually like the PR offices there at the UPMC Lemieux facility, left the room. Dan and I sat there and had a conversation. I thought I was getting 5 minutes, maybe 10. 15 minutes later, I began to feel a little bit bad. But the stories Dan told from his epiphany, the revelation that he wanted to be a coach. I mean, to listen to this story in the podcast here, that he was literally in his law school open house where he had studied for the LSATs, he's ready to go to law school, and he looks around and says, no, this isn't what I want to do. I want to be a coach. And he literally could not have started any lower. I mean, he didn't go to the bottom. He went to the bottom and made a left. And yet, here he is. You'll also hear, I guess I knew a bit more of the story of how he got hired in Nashville than even he did. He sort of looked at me with a quizzical, what do you mean? And I'll let you listen to it. But you can kind of hear his reaction like, well, yeah, that's what you're supposed to do in a job interview. Because listen, he created a fantastic presentation that absolutely knocked everyone's socks off, especially Peter Laviolette, who did essentially hire him on the spot. And maybe I told him part of the story that he had never heard before, because I'd obviously been told the story from the people on the other side of the equation. So I hope you enjoy. It's only 15 minutes long, but the sense I got walking away from it was clearly this is not a superficial guy. This is a deep thinker who genuinely loves what he does. Like, he was called to this. You don't rise up from being an assistant coach D3, probably not even making minimum wage. He's probably making a stipend of, a few $100. And here he is. So here is the Pittsburgh Hockey Now, Dan Muse one-on-one interview that we conducted on Thursday. It's taking me quite a while to write the story just because there's so much in. I hope you enjoy the podcast. Please set your downloads and comment and let me know.
It's been a while
what
since the Penguins had a coach not from the Massachusetts area. I was kind of listening to Kyle do a podcast this summer talking about when he made the transition, realizing he wasn't going to be a player, and figuring out how he could be in hockey and all of that. And I was kind of curious your origin story of when maybe you had that moment. I'm not going to be an NHL player, if you ever did, and how coaching came about.
Oh yeah, no, I never. That wasn't being a professional hockey player. I don't think that really ever crossed my mind. I just wanted to play hockey. I started playing. I lived in Massachusetts in high school, but I started playing hockey. I was 11 years old in Alabama.
Oh, okay.
There was only like 2 rinks, so. Before that, I lived in California, Northern California. We had lived there for 3 years, and that's where I really wanted to play hockey. But we didn't have any. There was no ice. There was no option. So it was literally like playing street hockey. I was playing street hockey with my brothers, and that was all I had. And so when
like most American kids, yeah.
But those usually they get to play on the ice at some point. So like for me, I hadn't. First time I ever put on hockey equipment was when we moved to Alabama, and that was just it happened to be that when we moved there, because my mom's from there, they just happened to have one of the 2 rinks in the state was close to our house, outside of Birmingham, and so that's where I started playing. Then we moved to Massachusetts when I was going into 8th grade, and I was behind the 8 ball. Like it was I had to work really hard to I played public high school hockey. It was a good public high school team though, very good. But even there, like I had to work each year just to kind of get my way, and then I had to work really hard just to play Division III hockey. Like that wasn't like, even coming out of high school, that wasn't it probably didn't look like it was in the cards. I had to work hard for it, so. I don't think it wasn't anything suddenly like I knew what I was. I was fine with that, and I'm proud of working hard to get to that point to be a Division III player. And so, from there, I was gonna go to law school. So my first thought after college, I knew I wanted to coach hockey in some capacity. So I spent a year. My first year out of college, I was planning on studying for the LSATs. I did study for the LSATs, and I needed to work. And so I actually, just to get health insurance, because I wanted something where I could be coaching and studying for the LSATs and going through that whole process. I ended up, my mother was a speech teacher in the town we lived in Canton. And so she told me there was an opening for a paraprofessional aide, which would have, I'd get health insurance, and the timing would work great. So I'm like, all right, this makes sense. So I was an aide in a special ed classroom that first year, and then I got an opportunity to be an assistant coach at a prep school, which that was like, for me, it was kind of a home run because I wasn't expecting that. Like I was actually originally signed up. I was at the first meeting to be an assistant coach at the high school I played for. And the JV, I think I was going to be helping with JV and varsity, and it was like, first year out of college, I was like, this is great, I'm doing this. I was like coaching like skills programs. I was coaching, I think, my brothers. Me and my buddy were coaching my brother's team because he's 13 years younger than me. So I was coaching like a squirt team. Like I had all this. I was like, oh, this is great. And then I ended up becoming an assistant coach at the prep school at Milton Academy, which was huge at the time. I was like, this is amazing. And so I ended up going through that process to go to law school. I was literally at the open house for it, and it just kind of hit me. I'm like, I really like coaching. I really like being in a classroom, and so I'm not going to do this. I walked out of the open house for Suffolk Law School, and I remember calling my father and be like, "Yeah, I'm not doing this. Like, I'm not like."
What was his reaction?
He was great. He was he was a huge supporter of it. Like,
it could have gone the other way.
No, it could have. It was him, and then it was like one of my uncles, who he was a lawyer, and he was really like a huge influence for me. Telling him. Oh, that's cool. Telling him was tougher, but he was actually even more happy. He was even more excited for me, because he was like, this is the greatest decision in your life. So,
so your profession chose you. You feel like you found that calling.
I think it's funny. It just works out sometimes that way. It's I don't know. It's I always wanted hockey to be a part of my life. I knew that. Yeah. I always envisioned coaching, and then so the next year. But I also I like being in the classroom. So the next year I became a full-time teacher at a Catholic school right outside of Boston, which will hire turns out they'll hire people without any kind of teaching background or certificates or anything else. And so I didn't know what I was doing. Like I had never been in a classroom. I'd never taken an education class. I was a criminal justice major teaching high school history. And so like that probably honestly was what pushed me. Like I was thinking, all right, I'll be a teacher and a coach. Like this is a 1 year of college. I got it all figured out. And so like I loved it. Like that was probably one of the most, of all the years in coaching, that was probably one of the most influential, because like I had to teach myself how to teach. And that's what coaching is. Like I had like a room of 30 like students, and like this school was right on the edge of Boston, so half the kids were from it's Archbishop Williams High School, which was like half the kids were from the city, half the kids were from the suburbs. Half the kids' school was like really easy for, half the kids' school was hard. It was like a huge mix. And I had no idea what I was doing, but I realized right away, I was like, I got to figure out, like, each person's different. I got to figure out how they learn, how they're motivated, and I got to do it while I'm staying like 2 chapters ahead of them. So I kind of know what I'm talking about. And that was like one of the, like, it was great. It was unbelievable. It was like really, really good year. And like I just got to the end of the year. I was like, I love what I'm doing, but like I want to teach hockey full time. And that's when I left. I basically gave that all up. Like, and I was 2 years out of school. Like I thought I was like, all right, I got all these things going on. Gave it all up to go become a Division 3 assistant coach at Williams College, where I made like almost close to nothing. Like as close to nothing as you could imagine, like pay wise, like and no health insurance, no anything. Like it was like huge. Yeah, it was kind of it was, and that was also great, because that was also, I got to do everything there, and I worked for a guy that was really gave me a lot of responsibility, and so yeah.
Coming at you live from Auto Trader, here's New Car Energy.
They're searching inventory. You can make a budget for your wallet to help you succeed. It's smarter car shopping just for
Find
you.
your next ride at autotrader.com, powered by Auto Intelligence.
It doesn't seem like that long ago, but now it's starting to be a long time ago.
Well, I heard a legend. I mean, when you got hired, a lot of people you've come in contact with over the years, hanging out at rinks during the day, coming up through junior and all of that. Like, I can use a couple of names, like John Goyen, who's now the Canadians, Francis Anzalone, across. My phone blew up. Like, oh, Dan Muse. I heard a story that you got the job in Nashville with Lavi because you came in with a massive presentation, detailed beyond anyone's expectation, kind of like a giant binder, essentially, of a presentation. Is that story taking on greater legs than?
I'm sure I came in with stuff like prepared. I don't know if it was any different than other places. I don't know what.
Okay, because the story was he was so impressed that he hired you almost on the spot.
Yeah, it was quickly after. I think it was like the next day they offered me the job. Yeah, I mean, I had to go back. I don't know. You get an opportunity to interview for something. You come prepared. So
okay. Yeah. I was waiting for some great story of spending days building a presentation.
Yeah, usually. I mean, I think any job that any job I've ever had that like I've interviewed for, like when I interviewed to be a high school teacher, I put together a big presentation for that. Like it was like come in prepared. If you want to, I think if you want to have an opportunity to something, I always feel like you put together. You put your best foot forward to be able to present, and with that takes preparation. So, what
do you think of your team right now? I mean, kind of an open-ended question, no specifics I'm fishing for. What do you feel? What do you think of where they're at right now?
Yeah, I think it's coming together. Like it's. I think we're taking steps. I feel like that's the biggest thing. So I guess I really enjoy working together with this group. I really enjoy working. Like I think it's. The whole staff feels that way. I like this. I like the feel of where things are at right now. I think that we're showing progress. I think we're taking steps. I think parts of our game are, you're not gonna. Things don't suddenly change drastically in this league. It's like you want to see progress. You want to see day to day. You want to see things getting better, and that's always. There's always going to be days too where there's steps back, and like you want to see how you're going to react on those steps back. And we've had those. But I feel about the team. I really like our group. I like the direction we're going at. I think the fact that we gotta. I think I know, and I think we know. The group knows that we gotta. We gotta make sure that we keep finding ways to get a little bit better each day and keep taking those steps. But I like how, even we've had a lot of situations already this year. Like we've had some games that we really didn't like and respond to. We've had some obviously, we've had some guys, come out because of injuries, and other guys are coming in. I think guys are doing a good job with that. Like that's not ever easy, but it's like I think it's the way the focus continues to just stay forward and focusing on controlling what you can control and. And so I think we want to just keep building consistency in that and consistency in our game, and I think that's I think everybody's probably feeling a little bit of that there at game 20. I don't know if there's nobody's like you're not supposed to be a finished product when you're 19 games into the season, but you want to see progress, you want to see steps, and I like the group. I really like the group. It's a really good group. And you can just see it. There was a lot of new there to start the year, and so it takes some time. Even for me, you got a new head coach who has a lot of guys have been used to this. Just a different staff, a new coaching staff. There's new ways of playing. There's new practices are different. There's a lot of new, and so it takes some time. But you just got to keep taking steps in the right direction.
Well, one thing I noticed Sunday, it looked like the F3s were really engaged in terms of staying on top of the zone, and even in the third period, maybe some guys who like to play offense more than defense were making a very concerted effort to read the play and sort of make sure they were in the proper defensive position. And that kind of spoke to me about buy-in to your system. Coming into this job, I mean, you look at a Hall of Fame loaded roster, and they might not have been the easiest to coach in some past circumstances. How worried were you about buy-in? And how long do you think it took before you felt that momentum and that sort of, you know what I mean, that where everyone's rowing in the same direction?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I don't know, concern, like it's, I don't know, I just start off, like, for me, it's just about more getting to know the guys, them getting to know me, and that takes some time. Like, that's kind of the first step, and then, I mean, it's we come together, we put together, a plan of, the way we wanted to have as a starting point, and you make adjustments as you go. But I don't know if it was something necessarily like, concern. These guys want to win. Like, these guys want to be like you don't do what they've been, for our veteran guys, you don't do what they've been doing for this long unless there's an extreme inner drive to be great. And you need individual greatness to have team success, but they want to be great on all they're competitive. They're as competitive as they come. Like, that's pretty. I didn't need to have any conversations or guess that. I've seen that firsthand from coaching against them, from watching the league, from knowing the league. Like, that wasn't a concern. No, I mean, I don't know. I guess it wasn't, for me, the focus has just been on, again, what we can control. And what I can, during the summertime, and you prepare, is about what I can control. I can't guess, is this going to be a problem? That can be a problem. It's like, as things come up, you address them, but that wasn't something that I was necessarily thinking about. It was about, all right, making sure that we, number one, starting to get to know these guys, them getting to know me, and have conversations and talk about the game and get their thoughts and listen to their thoughts and give my thoughts. And then, you get into training camp and you want to start to build out a base, and that's what we did. And then you take it a day at a time from there. So, well,
you've given me more than 10 minutes, but since Evan hasn't stopped me, I'll ask you one more. You're kind of a noted rink rat. I mean, I asked you for lunch recommendations in New York, and you ate at the Arena.
Yeah.
I mean, that was disappointing to me, I must say. I love New York City food.
No, I don't get out too much outside of the...
What is it? What is it that you love so much about the industry, or the coaching job in general, that you would spend all day at the rink? What do you love?
Yeah, I love the game. I love teaching. I love coaching. I think they're kind of the same. It's a little bit of the same thing, but I love, watching hockey. It's never once have I felt like I'm at work. Like, it's not like never once have I woken up in the morning, driven in, and think like I'm going to work. Like, I'm excited. I wake up excited and ready to go. I go to bed excited about the next day. Like, I love this. I love the game, and I love the people in the game, and just talking about the game, all that. So this isn't like, for me, and I also love the idea of building and getting better, like, and improving. And I think in order to do that, you got to look at things, and you got to have conversations, and you got to make sure, no rocks being unturned, and you got to look and find ways to learn from, watching other teams, learn from watching other sports, learn from, there's a lot of ways you can get better. And so it's hard in the season. It's like you don't have maybe as much opportunity to be doing all that, but it's like, you want to, my job is to make sure I'm playing doing my part to help this team reach its maximum potential, and also help this organization continue to grow. And so any way that I can do that, like, I'm going to try to maximize as much as I can in every day to be able to do that. And you do it because you love the game, you love the job, you love being at the rink, but you love the idea of finding a way to continue to get better and reach,
find an edge.
You're tuned into Auto Intelligence, live from Auto Trader, where data, tools, and your preferences sync to make your car shopping smooth.
They're searching inventory.
Oh, yeah.
They find what you need.
They gon' find
You
it.
can make a budget for your wallet to help you succeed. Pricing's precise and true.
So true.
It's smarter car shopping.
Ooh.
Just for you.
Oh, it's just for you. Find your next ride at autotrader.com. Powered by Auto Intelligence.